It's Jamaica versus South Africa in a three-test netball series. January 18, 22 and 25. The National Indoor Sports Centre comes alive in this titanic battle. Don't miss it.
Jamaica, make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out. Don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30.
The issue of truant parliamentarians and their absence from sittings of the House of Representatives is again under the microscope, with the Member of Parliament for North West St. Catherine, Hugh Graham, the worst culprit of all. Questions. Does it matter that parliamentarians don't sit in the House of Representatives on a Tuesday afternoon? And what, if anything, can be done to improve their attendance record? That's the issue on the discussion. Those questions and more to be answered and asked today here on Lead Story CVM TV. Let's go. Good evening and welcome to Lead Story here on CVM TV. So much happening on the news front. Parliament resumed its sittings today. Fitting day for us to be talking about this topic. But of course, the other issue that has been burning up the airwaves, social media and traditional media, consumed by the issue of Lawrence Rowe and promises purportedly made to him by the hierarchy of the People's National Party in exchange for him going quietly and slinking to the sidelines as they bring someone else to represent the constituency of Central Kingston at the next general election. We dealt with that partway yesterday. We'll hope to have more for you as the days go by. Today, though, an important story concerning the attendance record of parliamentarians. Several of our legislators playing hooky, as they would say, talking about truancy in school, not a school, but the House of Representatives, and how many sittings of the House on a Tuesday, from which many parliamentarians have absented themselves over time. As I said in the opening, Hugh Graham, the Member of Parliament for North West St. Catherine, who was voted in on a PNP ticket, but of course fell out with the leadership of the PNP and in effect sits in the parliament as a nowhere man. He sits and he doesn't really align with either side. So he is the worst offender. Several others with bad records, some with spotty records, and a couple, Robert Miller, the Member of Parliament for South East St. Catherine, and the man in charge of Western St. Andrew, George Anthony Hilton, with exemplary records. I've invited two ladies who have expertise and knowledge in the related areas to opine on what they think can be done. Daniel Archer is the Principal Director of National Integrity Action, and another Archer, Professor Carol Archer. She is Professor of Urban Planning and Public Policy at the University of Technology, Jamaica. Ladies, good evening. Welcome to Lead Story, and Happy New Year to you both.
Thank you, and all the best for 2025.
Daniel, can I hear you?
Likewise to you, George, and to your viewers.
Excellent. All right, let's get this show on the road. The issue of absentee parliamentarians is not new. The fact is, though, that Hugh Graham's attendance record is particularly troubling given the fair few times that he has turned up to sittings of the House of Representatives. I can hear someone in a rum bar, Daniel Archer, asking, well, what's so bad if the MP doesn't go to the House on a Tuesday afternoon?
And my response to the man in the rum bar is, brother, you pay him and him not doing what you're paying him for. Because you are paying him to not only go to Parliament and represent the concerns and the issues of his constituency, but you are paying him to represent your interests, to ensure that the things that you need in your constituency are done. And if he can't do it through his means of his constituency efforts, then he must take it to Parliament. So the man in the rum bar would be concerned that he has given this parliamentarian a substantial increase, and all he does is twiddle his thumbs and not perform as he's expected to. So it is a concern whether it is just a question of saying, oh, he's attended, but he attends the constituency, but he doesn't attend Parliament, is a problem still. Because you can't pass an exam unless you pass the 2 sections. And we're paying you to do both. And so it is a problem because you're failing to perform. And perhaps in the case of parliamentarians who, as you have said, have fallen out of grace with the leadership and is neither here nor there, it presents a royal opportunity for us to say, since you're not interested in the people's business, we should get you out.
Professor Archer, where do you stand on the issue of whether or not attendance at Parliament is as important as certainly the article makes it out to be, published by the Gleaner recently?
Yes. Well, I think attendance is critical. As my colleague said, Daniel, this year you decide and you represent the interests of the people who elect you to be there. But it becomes problematic because I know that the person elected to be there and the people electing them to be there have no idea what they are supposed to be doing when they get there. Yes? So there's no job description. Promise that?
Right.
So it is not there. And I hope that in short order, that would be one of the promises that can be delivered on so that the public is aware what it is that the member of I think there is this misconception that member of parliament, when they are elected, they are to go to the person who is the minister and beg for things for their constituency, as opposed to ensuring that you have necessary laws in place, necessary legislations in place, allow for goods and services to be delivered to accessible to the people at the community level. Because we have this very, what I refer as clientelistic type relationship between the MP constituency, so that you are here to show up at the funerals and the birth and so forth. That is enough. But I think we need to shift the dial and to demand more. And one of the things we should be demanding is for our interests to be represented so that they can ask the questions, they can review and interrogate the budget to ensure that proper allocations are being made to agencies so that we can access service more efficiently.
Hear you on that.
And
Ladies,
that is not being done.
Ladies, all right, hear you on that. Let us take the break. When we come back, we're going to turn the wick up on the conversation just a little bit by asking some pertinent questions about how Parliament is structured and whether or not indeed attendance is as important as it's made out to be. After the break, this is Lead Story on CVM TV.
Rise with sunrise, it's Why Not Wednesday with Tammy and Itie. What's a morning without devotion? We'll get the good news in Wednesday service. Then we head to the shelves to grab a good read in Sunrise Book Club. We'll talk all things bird flu in WAGs, brought to you by True Pet. We'll wrap the morning fun with your netball update, then Free Zone. Why Not Wednesday is powered by Flow. You've never seen a sunrise quite like this.
Our days get a little complex sometimes. Often so many things make sense, yet so many do not. We are being intentional about giving prominence to the big stories in order to clarify and enlighten. Lead Story explains who, what, when, where, why, and how. Lead Story with George Davis, weekdays at 6:30 p.m. on CVM TV.
CVM TV and live Jamaica Premier League action on a Monday night. A match made in heaven. We call it Monday Match Night. Catch all the hard-pounding JPL Monday night action from now until the end of the season on CVM TV's Monday Match Night. Matchday Mondays at 7:45 p.m. with rebroadcast Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Nothing else can quite match up. Monday Match Night, powered by Sunshine Snacks and ABC Electrical.
Two knowledgeable ladies on matters concerning public policy are with me on Lead Story this evening. Daniel Archer, Principal Director of National Integrity Action. She's also an attorney at law. And Professor Carl Archer, she is in charge of urban planning and public policy at the University of Technology. Daniel Archer, let me ask you this. Well, let me set something out before I go into the question. Our parliament is guided by the Bible of parliamentary matters in the Commonwealth, Erskine May, of course, named eponymously for the former parliamentary secretary in the United Kingdom. And Erskine May itself does not recognize mandatory attendance at parliament. In fact, it makes clear in chapter 4 that attendance at parliament for sittings of the House is not mandatory at all, and it's only a matter for the whips of the respective parties to ensure that members arrive there. The fact is that how Parliament works in real terms, and we know how Parliament works, most members of Parliament over the life of a Parliament rarely ever speak during any of these sittings in there. I mean, someone may speak during the State of the Nation debate, someone may speak in the State of the Constituency debate, but based on, outside of that, people rarely have the time to speak. And the kind of occasions where the full House is assembled and there is an opportunity to make timely interventions while the sitting is on is most likely the time when Standing Finance Committee meets before the budget debate, when of course the estimates have to be approved by the whole House before the House then debates it. Against that background, aren't we overselling this concept of attendance at Parliament when most people who attend Parliament don't have an opportunity to participate in the proceedings of Parliament?
They don't have an opportunity to participate, or they choose not to create an opportunity to participate.
Well, they don't have an opportunity to participate because...
And I disagree, and that's where,
yes,
respectfully,
yeah,
I disagree with you. Our Parliament is designed to ensure that as the chief area that passes our laws, it is the area that supervises the laws, it is the area that makes the laws, it is the area that you are expected to hear your representatives speak. It is the area where private motions are to be tabled, are to be argued, are to be heard. And we have a history of ignoring private members' motions. And we have a history of having archaic, antiquated, outdated, Prof, you can help me out with those choice of words, legislation.
Yes.
Yes.
So the expectation is that a parliamentarian from any particular constituency recognizes that there needs to be some kind of update in a particular legislation is to create the opportunity to speak.
But Daniel Archer, that's not...
Erskine,
yes,
when you quote Erskine,
yes,
you must appreciate that we are talking about a democracy in Jamaica,
yes,
and looking at the Parliament in the UK.
But hear me out.
I may be wrong.
Yes.
I am of the view, yes, that we elect our parliamentarians to attend. But I am not saying, for the record,
yeah,
I am not saying that you must have 100% attendance.
Yes.
But I expect that you will attend and you will contribute.
But let me say this. That's not how Parliament works. It's not, when a debate is ongoing, there isn't an opportunity created by virtue of the debate itself for members to intervene, because what happens is, if we use our own system, we have two parties in there. The party whips decide, okay, this is the debate that is going, this is the minister who's leading this bill. The whips would have ensured that the party falls in line behind the speaker. And in any event, ministers don't ask questions, deputy speaker doesn't ask questions or make speeches, the speaker doesn't do so. So when the whip organizes the sitting of the parliament and the bill goes forward for debate, the party of the speaker doesn't interrogate issues that the speaker is presenting. It's often the other side, and it is often select members of the other side who either have portfolio responsibility, shadowing the portfolio of the presenter, the speaker in the House, who usually ask the Parliament, or they plan and prepare the whips on the opposition side to say, okay, we three are going to ask this question or these questions. So that's what I'm saying. Based on how our parliament works, there isn't that real opportunity, Daniel Archer, Professor Carl Archer, for the kind of intervention that I think would be useful, but it just doesn't happen in the way parliament works. And so someone could reasonably ask, is attendance that important when most people don't get the opportunity to intervene or contribute?
Well, just
a statement for your question.
Go ahead, Professor Archer. I'll come back to you, Daniel.
No, I agree with Daniel because it is just by practice. It doesn't mean that it ought not to happen. It ought to happen. And we do have, if you look at the history of our house, upper house and lower house, we have had representatives making private members motion and demanding certain responses. What has now been practiced by persons who we have elected is not to be as demanding, be as forthright, especially with issues relating to the people.
But Professor Archer, I'll say this to you.
They're more aligned with party.
I'll say this to you. And that's what I'm saying. So conceptually, the parliament that we want, and ladies, make no mistake, I have long complained that our parliament by design doesn't work. And it frustrates me when I watch it the one time they sit weekly, which I don't think is enough. Daniel doesn't think so. I don't think so either. But it's not designed to work efficiently. And we've been doing it this way since about 1944 when we got universal adult suffrage and we had those first parliamentary elections. We've been doing it the same way since then. And how it works is individual members are not afforded the opportunity to butt in. Can you imagine if the Minister of, say, Legal and Constitutional Affairs brings a motion, brings a bill to the Parliament and is laying out the bill for the debate, and somebody on the government side rises to ask a question about something that the minister would have said? It would be mayhem on the government side because you're not supposed to do that. And the whips ensure that that doesn't happen because they organize. So I'm saying the way the parliament works, forget about how the parliament should work. The way the parliament has worked since 1944, ladies, is my point, does not lend itself to the kind of intervention that we would deem necessary for the parliament to be useful. Hence, how important it is then for people to attend.
If I flip it to you, George, I hear you, but you use those magic words, not supposed to do that. So we're talking now about parliamentarians being told you don't speak. But here is the challenge that we're having. And if it is that I'm wrong, I will be corrected. Where we have parliamentarians who do not go to parliament to even listen to what is being said. So here you tell me I can't talk. So that's basically what you said. I've elected somebody, they can't speak, so it doesn't really matter that they go. I don't agree with you, but I take it. Even if it is that I cannot speak, I should be in a position to attend, to listen, to go back to my constituency and say to them, this is what is being said. What do you think? Do you disagree? If you disagree, I am empowered to make a private member's motion with respect to something that you want me to say. So I may not be able to interject, but I am empowered to represent their interest. So at the very least, I should be going to be able to represent their interest.
And here's what I say to that. Here's what I say to that. I'm speaking from the perspective as well of someone who was parliamentary reporter for 2 years. I got there at 1 p.m. every day, and I could tell you which MP was the first in the House. And I always marvel that that man never opened his mouth to save him life or anybody else in the whole time for the whole sittings, week after week. Why does he come? That's one thing. Secondly, I've long said, Professor Archer, Daniel Archer, that unlike in the UK, I watch PMQs every Wednesday. When the Prime Minister is taking questions and MPs rise randomly, even on the government side, to ask probing questions of the Prime Minister. That doesn't happen in Jamaica because, and that would give a broader participation and create the environment for the kind of intervention that you want to see, Daniel Archer, that you believe is necessary, Professor Archer, and that would be useful to the democracy. But how we have practiced it since 1944 is not that way. It is a neutered way. It is a parliament light, is what I call it. And so attendance is not that big a deal, is a point I'm making.
Yeah. Well,
and I return to you by saying, I yield to you, Professor Archer.
Right. I think attendance is important. And this is what, as we get into the election, these are some of the things that we need to demand of the people who are seeking to represent us. We should let them know we want you to be there to hear the discussion so that if necessary, you can make private members' motion. I think in addition to the attendance who are persons coming, we should also look at what in terms of their contribution in the various debates, whether it's a private members' motion, how many persons have come back to their constituency and report on matters relating to foreign policy, report on matters.
Professor Archer, I think we lost the
provisions of the budget. So if you are not there to read, to hear, then you cannot inform your
So I'm agreeing with you on those things, Professor Archer. I'm agreeing with you on those things. And I think that fundamentally, I'm not in disagreement with any of you. But the point I'm trying to get you to accept is that how the parliament works and how we want the parliament to work are two different things. And when you take an occasion like the Standing Finance Committee, where every member of the House devolves into a committee of all 63 members, and they go through the spending plans for the year, and every member has the opportunity to contribute. That's the parliament working at best. But how it is now, where private member motions, it's almost as if government members are discouraged from tabling private member motions because they don't want to make the order paper too long. And then the poor old MPs on the opposition side, whomever they are, don't get their private member motions taken because the government skillfully does the business of the parliament so that the questions get pushed back. Additionally, ladies, I'll say this to you. Our parliament suffers from the fact that when we have a lopsided representation, as we do now, 49-14, yes? The people on the opposition side know that it isn't even necessary for me to be there to vote because my vote won't change anything. And those on the government side can say, well, I don't have to go today because there are enough members on my side to carry any piece of legislation that we're trying to push through. So those are things that I think that we should work on fixing.
No, but George, this is where I disagree with you in terms of my vote wouldn't influence anything.
Yes.
While it wouldn't, at least you're taking a position, and it is on record that you have taken, even if the position is in favor of the party you represent. That is there on record to show when a policy legislation, whatever is being discussed, is tabled, you as the representative took a position, and that position
Professor
is
Archer,
based on the conceptually,
conceptually you are on sound footing. However, unlike the US system in the House of Representatives there, where a person's record can be read out and you can see their stance on various issues. In Jamaica, we vote party lines, so there's nothing extraordinary when you examine the voting records of individuals because they all vote en bloc. So I'm just saying, ladies, something is wrong with the parliament, and the parliament we have now, it makes no difference if most of these MPs go or not because they don't participate. They are inactive ingredients, and the taxpayer and the constituent does not get value for them being there because the system is designed to neuter most of them, and most of them accept the role of just background people banging when a good point is made. That's all.
Right. I hear you, George. I'm not disagreeing with the reality of how Parliament operates. What I'll be interested in seeing then is what were the job descriptions that Ernest and Young had used? That thing that they said Ernest and Young had used to describe and to determine what the job descriptions were. On my part, if I could see that, and I think if the public could see it, we could then understand the extent to which attending Parliament and contributing to Parliament was considered in determining that exorbitant salary. To my mind, that would have been a factor.
Yeah.
So if attendance is not important, just hear me out, please.
Yes.
If attendance is not important, as you have eloquently stated, and that because of the nature of the system that we operate in, we really don't have to go. I would want to know if that is considered in the salary, because if the attendance is not important, then what taxpayers should be paying for then is for you to just be in your constituency. It is not a question now of saying parliamentarians are overworked, because now we know for sure, based on the job description, that you're really just being asked to go to your constituency.
Daniel, I take that point without rebuttal, because it's something that is real, especially for the salaries. So you have no dissenting voice here. Professor Archer, I'll say this to you as we wrap. Years ago, we had an off-the-record. I was privileged to be a part of an off-the-record briefing with the Prime Minister, the then Finance Minister, Dr. Nigel Clark. I sat beside the late Ian Boyne. It may have been one of his last public engagements before his untimely death. And while we were discussing matters off the record, and of course I won't say what we discussed, but I will say what I mentioned, that I said to the room, gentlemen, I think Parliament doesn't work the way it's structured. It doesn't give opportunities for members of Parliament at random to raise important issues, to talk about constituency matters. And I think it's something that we need the leadership of the country to believe is flawed and to see about fixing. The men in the room made it seem as if I had made a stupid point. And it was not a stupid point. And that brings us back to where we are today, talking about people attending upon something, Professor Archer, that is not designed for them to warrant the salaries that they are paid, or even to frank their presence there sent by people who voted for them in an election.
Absolutely. And I think we have missed the opportunity presented to us in this discussion about constitutional reform, where we're only looking at this small piece.
Agreed.
Those are some of the issues that I certainly would want, and I would, anybody coming to my door asking for my vote, those are some of the things that I want you to go to represent me and my interest in constitutional reform, so that we can change Parliament so that it operates to represent the interest of the people.
Ladies, I'm out of time. I have to go. Daniel, thank you for your time. Professor Archer, always a pleasure. Thank you, ladies. All the best to you for 2025.
Thank you. Blessings.
All right. Good. The last thing I'll say before I go is this. You know, PMQs on a Wednesday, I commend it to any student of politics, people who want to understand how a real parliament works. On a random Wednesday, the members of Parliament, 600 and odd of them in the UK House of Commons, you'll see them rising during the session that they call Prime Minister's Questions, rising, trying to catch the attention of the Speaker because they have questions. So you hear someone say, Prime Minister, can you tell me what's the plan for repairing the health centre in my constituency of New Kingston upon Thames that has been out of commission for 2 years? Someone can say, Prime Minister, children in my constituency have a problem with dental issues because the health centre has not been functioning. There aren't enough dentists down there. What are you doing to fix the situation? Or someone will say, well, there's a constituent of mine who has been at war with the local authorities over the dogs that she has in her backyards. Simple bread and butter issues that you can watch and see your MP raising on your behalf. It doesn't happen in the Jamaican Parliament, but it happens in the UK. That's why I've said Parliament needs to be reformed. So, in the way that our Parliament works now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, being there doesn't matter, except when there is a vote and when the numbers between government members and opposition members is tight and every vote counts. Most of our parliamentarians, the system reduces them to placeholders, and so whether they're there or not, it's of no moment. They are inactive ingredients in the body of ingredients that make up the product. It's a sad fact, but it's the reality. That's my time. I make way for the news at 7 with Ramon Gordon.
A morning without devotion. We'll get the good news in Wednesday service. Then we head to the shelves to grab a good read in Sunrise Book Club. We'll talk all things bird flu in WAGs, brought to you by True Pet. We'll wrap the morning fun with your netball update, then Free Zone. Why Not Wednesday is powered by Flow. You've never seen a sunrise quite like this.
You can open a Sagicor Bank savings account from anywhere. Go online and open yours today.
The time by Sagicor Bank is
7 o'clock. CVM News at 7 Tuesday, brought to you by KFC.
KFC's popcorn chicken, now available in barbecue. KFC, it's finger licking good.
Tonight in CVM News at 7. Security Minister defends strategy during first sitting of Parliament for 2025. Driver dead after truck overturns in Orange Bay, Portland. And woman appeals for safe return of child. And in the business report and sports, we have the latest. You're watching CVM News at 7, and you're joining us now. From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7 for Tuesday, January 14, 2025. I'm Ramon Gordon. Thank you so much for joining us. Jamaica has seen a violent start to 2025, but the government says there's reason for optimism. Despite that, the opposition has some reservations. Here are some of the details from the first sitting of Parliament for 2025. Jamaica recorded 34 murders in the first 11 days of 2025, 8 more than the 26 recorded during the same period last year. Despite the troubling start, National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang told Parliament on Tuesday he's confident the murder rate will decline further in 2025, building on a 19% reduction achieved last year.
We are aware, but not only aware that there was a spike in the homicide rate for the second week of January. We know why. That is why I can speak today with confidence, and I can say to the country, we will maintain the gains we have made in policing.
Dr. Tang highlighted significant investments in the Jamaica Constabulary Force JCF, including increases in training, infrastructure, and manpower.
Having increased the human resource of the police, they have operational support teams in every division. They have expanded intelligence branches. We have a high-performance, high-potential training for our CIB officers so that we can quickly create a force of investigators capable of dealing with these crimes. We are bringing the police force into the 21st century to deal with the criminals we have out there.
The security minister once again doubled down on the government's controversial use of states of emergency SOEs, calling them a necessary tool to save lives. But the opposition has called for greater legislative action.
The legislative performance of this government in the area of national security has been disappointing. In 9 years, you have passed really only 2 major pieces of legislation in national security, the Bail Act and the firearms legislation. But we're still awaiting the legislation that is going to provide for enhanced security measures. We don't know what's in that legislation, Minister. I heard you make remarks about passing it without the opposition. The only strategy of this government which we haven't supported is the use of states of emergency as a policing tool, a strategy which we feel has failed.
There's also the concern over an increase in police-involved fatal shootings and the lack of body-worn cameras.
Body cams don't work in combat. What you're alluding to is where it is alleged that policemen are conducting extrajudicial killing. I'm saying publicly there's not much of that out there. Even one is wrong, but the training of the police, it doesn't justify rushing to equip every policeman with a body cam.
The sparring over crime policy is set to intensify in the coming weeks, with the government bullish on its investment despite cynicism from opposition ranks. National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang has commended the police for their work in reducing murders by 19% in 2024. The Area 1 police are also celebrating a similar milestone. More from Britannia Witter.
The Jamaica Constabulary Force has reported an ongoing decline in murders and other major crimes in 2024, with this latest reduction observed across Area 1, which encompasses the parishes of St. James, Westmoreland, Hanover, and Trelawney.
St. James recorded 62 less murders than they did last year. Hanover recorded 24 less, whilst Westmoreland recorded 17 less. Trelawney, which is the division that gives us the least amount of murders in Area 1, also showed a reduction. They had 1 less murder than they did for the year 2023.
Head of the Criminal Investigations Branch for Area 1, DSP Cordia Ashley, highlighted the progress made.
Only we showed a notable reduction in our crimes, our murders, the 104 or 26% less, but the team has successfully cleared 65% of the murders that we investigated, and that is 159 murders that were cleared in the year 2024.
The decline in murders is accompanied by a significant reduction in 3 of the 7 violent crimes across Area 1, including robberies, rape, and shootings. DSP Ashley acknowledges that more work is needed to ensure lasting change, but she noted that the JCF will continue to tackle the issue of crime.
The areas that we need to improve our clear-up rate in would be the break-ins, aggravated assault, and larceny. And that is where we intend to focus our attention for the year 2025.
She also stressed that ensuring the safety of the residents is the highest priority.
The safety and well-being of our citizens is a priority for the members of the CIB in Area 1, and we will continue to improve on what we do to make Area 1 a safer place for the citizens.
In 2024, Area 1 saw a decrease of 104 murders compared to the previous year, 2023. Britannia Wito, CVM News.
The Independent Commission of Investigations, INDICOM, has launched a probe into the fatal shooting of 20-year-old Jimoy Suku by a police officer in Maypen on Sunday. As the officer faces questioning, conflicting accounts have made the incident ever so unclear. Shante McNeil reports.
Right now, my heart come like it a drop up. My heart break up. You know, it's like when my father come tell me, because I'm in bed when my father come tell me, and when he come tell me, just operate like me not even here. Me just do like me not here. Me just lie down.
The grief is palpable for those who knew and loved the 20-year-old Jimoy Suku, affectionately called Nay. She was fatally shot on Sunday at Hotel Versailles in Maypen, Clarendon, where she was staying with her police officer boyfriend. The officer, who claims Suku shot herself with his servant. Allegations are that an argument ensued between the couple after Suku attended a party a day before. She later met with him in Clarendon, where she tragically lost her life. Her family is left heartbroken.
If they didn't know, but I tell her not to go. And right now, it has a big impact on everybody in the community because she was very loved by everyone. And right now, me not even know myself. Even this morning, I'm still not denial.
I can't cry, so I have high blood pressure. And if I cry, if the shall go, it go, can't tell you how it will go.
And little girl, I used to just take care like I'm at own. Comb her here, send her to school. Yeah, man, and I never expect them or something.
The officer has reportedly given conflicting accounts of the incident. In one version, it's alleged he said he placed his pistol on the bed and turned away, only to hear a gunshot and find Suku with a chest wound. In another, it's alleged he claimed the gun slipped from his hand while removing it from his holster, discharging as he tried to catch it. Suku was pronounced dead at the hospital, but many, including her loved ones, are skeptical of the officer's explanation.
Gun can drop and a person get one arm, get 2 shots. You understand? And based on where she get the shot, then gun can drop and you get shot this. That's specific. Yeah. That come like a straight murder business.
PNP caretaker for the Cornwall Mountain Division, Abigail Malcolm, while expressing condolences to the family, had a message for young men.
Males out there, if it's not working, walk away. Walk away before problem comes, because no mother should be able to go through all this pain to bury their own child.
As Jimoy Suku's family continues their fight for justice, Indicom has assured the public that they are committed to uncovering the full circumstances surrounding her death. Shante McNeil, CVM News.
More to come on CVM News at 7 after this.
whatever the crunch you want with KFC's popcorn chicken. Delicious, crispy, irresistible. Now available in hot and spicy. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Where the difference is made. Where titles are decided. Where respect is earned. Excel here and you could go down in history. It's the final third. CVM TV's weekly JPL preview show every Sunday, starting 30 minutes before our live broadcast. Get insight, analysis, and hear from your favorite players weekly, just before we bring you our feature broadcast for the day. Move from defense to attack and join us in the final third. This and every Sunday until the end of the JPL season.
No more fear of missing out. CVM TV News is on YouTube. Get up-to-date news, sports, and business content at CVM TV News anytime, anywhere. Subscribe now to CVM TV News to see it happen.
Rise with sunrise. It's Why Not Wednesday with Tammy and Itie. What's a morning without devotion? We'll get the good news in Wednesday service. Then we head to the shelves to grab a good read in Sunrise Book Club. We'll talk all things bird flu in WAGs, brought to you by True Pet. We'll wrap the morning fun with your netball update, then Free Zone. Why Not Wednesday is powered by Flow. You've never seen a sunrise quite like this.
Welcome back. You're watching CVM News at 7. Millions of U.S. iPhone users are set to benefit from a class action settlement over claims that Siri was eavesdropping. In Jamaica, one tech expert says a similar lawsuit could arise locally if comparable concerns emerge. Here's Nika Lewis.
In short order, millions of Americans are set to benefit from a multi-million-dollar payout to settle a class action brought against Apple, manufacturers of the popular iPhones. The allegation stems from claims of Apple's voice assistant Siri eavesdropping, a claim Apple has denied but says could happen for marketing purposes. While many Jamaicans are users of iPhones and Apple devices, only users based in the U.S. can claim based on the jurisdictional laws. However, not to despair. Tech expert Trevor Forrest says Jamaicans can file their own class action if they have similar concerns.
When you look at our data protection legislation, puts us in, puts each holder of a device who thinks that their privacy may be threatened in the position to challenge the creators of these apps or the creators of these devices, right? So in much the same way somebody challenged Apple in the United States, somebody in Jamaica could do the same thing within the context of our data protection and privacy law.
Forrest says the issue for many users internationally is that once the device records one's interactions without one's knowledge, there's further concern around who now has access to the information.
What is it doing with what it hears, and how can I stop this from happening?
Well, isn't there another question of who exactly is getting your information that is being recorded?
Absolutely. And you don't know, because once information is acquired, it is then sold to third parties, and it really boils down to who is willing to pay for that information.
He explains Apple is not the only company facing lawsuits over similar privacy claims, noting apps like Hey Google and Alexa are also being scrutinized. He's urging greater awareness, especially when apps request access to images and audio.
You want to now familiarize yourself with the settings on those devices that allow you to turn these features off. Additionally, you have to now be more aware of apps that you download on your phone that may ask you for permission to access your microphone or your camera. Because if the application can access the microphone, then it stands to reason that it can activate the microphone whenever it chooses.
Nika Lewis, CVM News.
A St. Andrew mother is appealing for the safe return of her daughter, who she says was taken from a daycare last Monday by her father who lives in North America. The mother claims the father has told authorities he will not return the child and is urging swift action to locate her daughter.
At a time when the authorities are demanding keener focus on proper child rearing and have grown hypersensitive about parental supervision, comes a mother's appeal for her child's father to return their 7-year-old daughter to her safely. This, as she alleges, the child's father last week Monday collected her from a daycare in Kingston, the last time the child was seen or heard from.
Lamar, take my child to me. Take my child, because I don't know what kind of vengeance you have towards me. I don't know. If you do have a vengeance, take it to God in prayer. Just carry my child come, because she's going to school. That is my daughter. You really and truly don't care, because you have the action of somebody who actually ate your child. You understand me? You and your family. You guys don't try do nothing. When you leave me alone for do everything, but when time it comes down to all you know and do is take the child. You understand me? So bring my child back. Bring my child back to me.
The woman says fear is rising, as although she's remained supportive of the shared custody, she's all too aware of a play that may reflect a darker side of her former lover.
He will hurt the child, because if somebody is not willing to really help out the child, based on how he left me alone to raise the child from the child born, and he's gonna take the child like that, I can't tell what's really in his mind, what really he's thinking about, and what he's processing in his mind. But I know it's nothing good, because no right person in their right mind will do something like this. For what reason?
Ms. Buchanan says despite efforts from the authorities in advising how she can take steps to prevent the father from taking their child from Jamaica without her consent, there's not much else that's happening. The parents are to return to the family court sometime in February, but in the meantime, it's a race, she says, to ensuring her daughter's safety, adding she fears could harm the child.
Went to the police and they did what they say they're supposed to do, but they don't try to track him. They're just talking. They don't try to follow up. One police in St. Elizabeth, because I went into St. Elizabeth, one police, I gave him the summons for him to go back to court, because he has broken all the rules that he was supposed to stick to when we went to court together, because we have shared custody. And the police came back and told me that it was a open lot that the address that he gave to the court. And when he called me that evening, he told me that he paid the policeman to come back to tell me that it's an open lot.
She's demanding help, and now adding there seems to be a ring of deception regarding the child Faith, who she fears is also now out of school.
What about the other school that you hear she might be going to?
Well, I went on the Google, and I also asked other person to check, and they said they're not seeing no St. Elizabeth Primary. I call a school, and the school, it's a basic school. The St. Elizabeth School is a basic school.
Angela Melville, CVM News.
A truck driver is dead and a passenger injured following an incident in Orange Bay, Portland. The event has rattled the local community. Adrian Williams has the details.
It's a truck land in Portland today. Look like a hot sky drop on the side.
The mangled remains of this tank-weld truck and a bar and shop destroyed. These are the telltale signs of a tragic accident where a truck overturned, leaving the driver dead and the passenger admitted to hospital in a stable condition. One onlooker recalls what happened, saying this was like a scene from a movie.
I was coming through the lane and you see the truck coming down from that direction, Buff Bay direction. He was heading towards the seaside and he swift over and go crossing the road and then flick and land over here. Look up my ball. Come and think my sister was here because she always sit down on this place.
Her sister, the bar and shop owner for the building damaged by the truck careening off the road.
I'm so frightened. When we come, the whole of the front of the building damaged. So far, when we see, music box damage, the TV, the whole of the grill mash up, in the bar, the ceiling tear off and all these things. So me can't get to see everything we're in there now. As soon as the truck come outside, we can get to experience and see what's happening inside.
When our news team arrived, other tank-weld trucks were seen securing material from the wreckage. We reached out to the company, but were told they are still gathering details on the incident. Despite this section of the roadway being at a corner, the area is said to be a crash hotspot, as drivers continuously speed around the bend.
Brown and grow in Orange Bay, and it needs a speed sign because pure accident going on in Orange Bay right now. And a lot of meeting keep and I talk about the sign and the speed bump that one in Orange Bay.
Right now it need a sign right beside where the truck crashed, a speed sign. And Mr. Vaz, please intervene and try put up a sign right there, please, and thanks.
The area of the crash generally has commuters waiting on their bus or taxi on to their next destination. Adrian Williams reporting for CVM News.
Stay with us, much more to come after the break.
For 25 millions, I give it to 25 customers. Switch to Digi, you could win $1 million. Digicel is giving away 25 mil. It's a great time to switch to Digicel. Visit the Digicel store today. Purchase smartphones as low as $10K. Buy a 7-day plan or higher. Get a top-up of $20 US from overseas, or give the plan for more entries. Any of these could make you a winner. Conditions apply. The 25 for 25 promotion is authorized under Section 58 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act. Promotion lasts from January 3rd to February 6th. 25 for 25. Better connected.
Steve knows style.
That jacket. When was you in the Temptations? You are my alter ego.
And Steve gives in to his own temptation. Family Feud.
Brought to you by We Are the Caring Store, waiting to serve you. It's time to experience independent living. Visit us today.
Till the day come, we are back, bigger and better. We still the same ones.
Let me tell you,
a big deal, something I'm not telling a lie.
Let's go!
I'm on Jamaica.
We are here.
Double sensation. Mob until the day comes. It's a vibe. Listen, new adventures.
Quite exciting.
Green, yellow, black flag. We'll find the crevices and the corners.
Whether it be Magati in a town, yeah. You don't think it's nothing yet? Easy yourself.
Yardman style when I come true. Hold up.
Now here's what's trending online.
So, what's trending in our local social media spaces? A McGrath High School student's viral TikTok video has sparked an investigation by the Ministry of Education. The student alleged he was initially barred from school due to his hair length, despite complying with the school's grooming policy by cutting his hair. He claims he still faced exclusion, citing victimization. Here are some of your reactions to the news. At Yardman Busha writes, Hair doesn't stop a child from learning. Jamaica's school system needs to get rid of this mentality. At Aries, baby Mika shares, regardless of how hair doesn't make you learn, kids must adhere to rules in society. Breaking rules in school and homes also lacks respect for adults, teachers, and their peers. At Ramon Mori _ comments, I don't think he should have made the video, and I also don't know what else happened that wasn't recorded. But I also don't think you should stop a child from learning because of their hair. At Aldane Goodall adds, the problem is these young people must do what they want to do and you must not say anything to them. Rules are rules. He needs to stay in school though. At Ashley posts, rules are rules. We need to stop take things like this like joke. This is why the country don't have no discipline and everybody feel like they can do what they want anywhere. And that's what's trending online today. Continue to share your thoughts with us on X at CVM TV and CVM Television on Facebook. I'm Courtney Lewis.
Now to regional and international news.
We begin with news in the region. In Trinidad, with the government seeking a 3-month extension to the state of emergency, the Prime Minister says the government is of the firm belief that more time is needed to suppress criminals. More from CNC3.
The government maintained that the rationale for the SUE is clearly outlined in the President's proclamation, a spate of murders in December, and threats of reprisal gang attacks with the use of high-powered rifles. But the opposition leader was having none of it.
Buff the criminals, buff the law enforcement officers, buff the customs officers, buff everybody, but do not take responsibility.
Kamla Persad-Bissassa attacked the government's position that an SOE was not initially its preferred strategy because of the inconvenience it can cause businesses and the public.
But why didn't you think about over 5,000 people who have been murdered and their families?
Persad-Bissassa argued that it seemed the government only sprang into action when gang members' lives were at stake.
Is it that only because it was like one gang fighting another gang? Was it done to protect the gang members? Or was it done to protect the people of Trinidad and Tobago?
It's an accusation that drew the ire of the Prime Minister.
That Madam Speaker is an offensive statement, and I reject it out of hand.
In Guyana, amid escalating tensions over Venezuela's provocative actions and statements, including plans to elect a governor for the Essequibo region, Guyana's agent in the Venezuela border case, Carl Greenidge, spoke to HDP TV to warn that the country must prepare for any eventuality.
Greenidge addressed Venezuela's ongoing attempts to divert attention and prolong proceedings at the International Court of Justice, ICJ.
You have to expect anything because they may do anything. This is an administration which is illegal in all senses of the word, and therefore its actions may well continue to be taken along those lines.
Greenidge strongly condemned the Maduro administration's intention to pursue what he called, quote-unquote, a completely illegal and disreputable act. He pointed out that Venezuela has never controlled Essequibo, nor has it been granted temporary title to the region at any international forum. He emphasized that Guyana's response must involve diplomatic efforts and engagement with international partners to counter these actions.
Guyana has to work with its international partners and bilaterals and the multinational institutions to ensure that Venezuela does not perpetrate this outrage.
And in international news, Joe Biden said Monday that America is stronger on the global stage than it had been for decades in a swan-song foreign policy speech 1 week before Donald Trump's White House comeback. We turn to France 24.
The first day of Joe Biden's final week in office, a day to say goodbye. State Department staff welcomed the outgoing US president with cheers and a standing ovation. His speech was a thank you to them and a chance to sing the praises of his own administration. He delivered a list of accomplishments on the international stage, saying America is stronger now than it was 4 years ago.
Right now, in my view, thanks to our administration, the United States is winning the worldwide competition.
Not all of Biden's global efforts have been a win. The Russian invasion of Ukraine happened just a year into his presidency, and he didn't succeed in helping to end the war, but he framed it as a failure for Vladimir Putin.
When Putin invaded Ukraine, he thought he'd conquer Kyiv in a matter of days. But the truth is, since that war began, I'm the only one that stood in the center of Kyiv, not him.
Biden said he succeeded in the two jobs demanded by Russia's invasion: to rally the world to defend Ukraine and to avoid war between two nuclear powers. And he passed the baton to the incoming administration.
And that's it for regional and international news.
Orville is standing by with sports after this quick break.
A big deal when we touch the ground. Yeah, a KFC when we pulling up. Anything for the taste of a KFC, big deal. The time by KFC is
7:30.
25 for 25. Millions I give it to 25 customers. Switch to Digi. You could win $1 million. Digicel is giving away 25 mil. It's a great time to switch to Digicel. Visit a Digicel store today. Purchase smartphones as low as $10K. Buy a 7-day plan or higher. Get a top up of $20 US from overseas, or gift the plan for more entries. Any of these could make you a winner. Conditions apply. The 25 for 25 promotion is authorized under Section 58 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act. Promotion lasts from January 3rd to February 6th. 25 for 25. Better connected.
No more fear of missing out. CVM TV News is on YouTube. Get up-to-date news, sports, and business content at CVM TV News anytime, anywhere. Subscribe now to CVM TV News to see it happen.
Welcome, everybody. We are back.
Season 2 of The Holy Road. Season 2. We are here. Let me tell you, I am super excited to be on for another season to show you the Holy Road.
Listen, new adventures. We might be moving further out of Kingston, further out of anywhere nearby. We'll find the crevices and the corners that have the most unique stories.
And right before sports, Don Webby has retired as Group CEO of Grace Kennedy Limited, effective today, January 14, 2025, and will also step down from the board of directors. Webby, who joined the company in 1995 and became Group CEO in 2011, oversaw Grace Kennedy's revenue growth from 58 billion Jamaican dollars to 155 billion and spearheaded expansion through mergers and acquisitions. Under his leadership, Grace Kennedy became a leading Caribbean entity with global operations. In a statement, Webby expressed pride in the company's progress and confidence in its future. Frank James, current CEO of the Domestic Foods Division and former Group CFO, will succeed Webby as Group CEO and join the board. James, who joined Grace Kennedy in 2005, said he's honored to lead the team and remains committed to delivering value to customers, shareholders, and communities. And Foreign Affairs Minister